Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I got a 2011 GMC Yukon here, making a howling noise on the highway. Most of the time, if you yank the wheel to the left or the right while going down the highway, you'll hear a tone change, and whichever way you're throwing the weight, if you yank the wheel to the right, you're throwing more weight to the left. You can kind of pinpoint which side has a bad wheel bearing. This wasn't doing that. I had to jack up each wheel independently and spin it to be able to identify which wheel actually has the bad wheel bearing, which I'll show you in a minute. But this video will be good for the Yukons, Tahoes, Suburbans, I'm guessing Silverados, but you're gonna want to double check that, from years 2007 or 8 and up to 14, 15, somewhere around there. But again, just double check. I forget which generation, what the year range actually is. I'll give you the part number, so when you look up your year, make, and model, if it comes up with the same part number, this procedure will work for you. All right, so I got the front end jacked up off the ground, wheels off the ground, and I can, even just spinning it slow, you'll be able to hear it. And that's without weight on it. And here's the opposite side, the passenger side. Nice and quiet. All right, so we know it's the driver's side. I'm gonna get some jack stands under this and get this wheel off. All right, I got the wheel off. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take the caliper off the mounting bracket. So I'll take the caliper off, wire tie it off to the side. Then I'll take this mounting caliper bracket off to then gain access to the rotor. We'll take the rotor off, pop off this axle nut, and see if I can push this axle through without breaking a ball joint. If I can do that and just get it out of the way to get the wheel bearing out, that'd be awesome, but we will see. All right, so we got the caliper zip tied up out of the way over there. We got the mounting bracket off. All I got left now is to get that axle nut off and get that rotor off and see if we can push that axle through enough without breaking the lower ball joint to pull the hub out. All right, so got the rotor off, got the axle nut off, 35mm socket. The wheel speed sensor, it does come with a new one. So you just want to, these retaining clips, you just want to not break those so that it'll actually hold the new cable when you're installing it. So you just want to pry this little tab to the left just a hair to lift that out. Take a little clamshell, get that out of there. And then this connector has like a push pin, or had right there. It was so brittle it broke very easily, but the new one is going to come with a new style push pin connector to lock into the chassis so it's not bouncing around in there. So I'm going to work on getting these retaining clips off, and then we'll see if I can push that axle through into the side so I can get to the bolts in the back of the hub. All right, in order to get this axle out, I need to break this up a ball joint, get this ball joint out of the knuckle, and then I'll be able to lean it forward and get this axle to slide out. And it'll also give me better access to get the impact gun in there to get the bolts off the actual hub. So what I did was I lowered the castle nut on the ball joint and left about an inch gap. I have all the weight off the jack, left about a ½ inch between the jack and the lower ball joint. And what I'm gonna do is whack right here with a mallet until this releases. I don't want to put a pickle fork in there and damage the boot. I replaced this not too long ago. This ball joint's still in good shape, so I'm just gonna hammer here until it pops, and then I can get a pinch bar underneath here and pry the upper control arm, the upper ball joint out of the knuckle, and I'll be able to lean it forward, get that axle out. All right, so I was able to get that to pop. As you can see, the castle nut's sitting on the knuckle. We got separation, and the lower ball joint's sitting on the jack. So what I'm going to do is jack this up to take the tension off of this upper knuckle, because right now it's trying to push down, so I can get that nut off. And then, like I said, I'll get the control arm up out of the way, and I'll lean this back, and then I can get that axle out. All right, so I was able to lean that forward, pushing the axle out, struggling with it to get it to come all the way out. That sway bar is in the way, but it's out enough for me to get to those 3 bolts. So I'm just going to let it hang right there instead of forcing it and possibly damaging the the shaft itself or this boot. I don't want to keep moving stuff out of the way if I don't need to, but we have access to those bolts. I think we're going to be good. So I'm going to try popping those out and seeing if I can get this hub out of there. All right, so I was able to get the axle out of the hub without having to break the lower ball joint. If you push it all the way into the differential and then start taking it out on that angle, it was just enough to get it out of the hub, and that allowed me to get the impact gun in there with no problem to zip those bolts out. All right, so with the bolts backed out, what I did was I threaded them back in, left about 1 inch all the way around, and then I took a socket, put the socket on the head of the bolt, and then whacked this with a mallet and just kept working my way around until I finally got it to pop out. So this is loose, this is ready to come out. So I'll take those bolts out, take this hub right out, and clean up that bore and go grab another wheel bearing. All right, so got the old hub out. This dust shield just pops right off. We'll clean that up, clean the face, both sides, so it sits nice and flush. We'll clean the face of the knuckle, and we'll clean that bore so we're not fighting getting the new one in. We want it to sit nice and flush so we don't get a imbalance in the wheel. And after that, we'll install the new one. All right, so here's the new hub. I did get this from O'Reilly's. They had a choice between the Master Pro, which is their house brand, or the Precision. This is a Precision 515096. When it comes to wheel bearings, hubs, even universal joints, I'll either go with Precision or Spicer. Suspension pots, always Moog, over the house brand. Just better quality. I've always had really good luck with them. This was $50 more, so for 50 bucks, I went with the better quality part. So before we install this, like I said, I'm going to clean this face up with some Scotch-Brite and some emery cloth inside this bore before we install the new hub. All right, so like I said, I was going to get this hub nice and clean, which we did here. You want this face nice and clean, and then this inside bore so that the new hub will just slide right in and not end up a little cocked on you, because if it does, it'll be out of alignment, and you're going to get a lot of wheel shake out of this. So we got this nice and clean. We'll get that dust shield on the new hub, and then reverse the process. Another thing I'm going to do just to prevent this from rusting is put some anti-seize on the face and inside this bore. If this ever has to get replaced again, it won't be such a bear to get it out. All right, so got the hub in, went in with no problem. Got the dust shield back on. The cable I'm going to do last when the knuckle's back in place and attached to the upper ball joint. But next, I'm going to get this axle back inside the hub. Then I'll push the knuckle into the upper ball joint, get that castle nut on. All right, so we got this knuckle attached to the upper ball joint. Got a new cotter pin in there that's good and tight. Same thing with the axle nut. That's torqued down, that's tight. This new cable, I said in the beginning, be careful with these clips. They actually come with brand new ones. I wasn't expecting that. So that's all fastened. That's not going to bounce around. The upper connectors fastened to the chassis, so that's not going to bounce around. The next thing I got is the rotor. I'm going to get that on, and I'll get the caliper mount on with the caliper. I'm going to lube those slide pins up again. I did brakes not too long ago, but while it's out, I'm going to pull them, clean them, and lube them up again. Hopefully I won't see those for another 40, 60,000 miles. And we'll grease up this front end. All right, so she's all back together. I'm going to get the wheel on and spin it by hand, make sure it's quiet. If it is, then we'll take it for a ride and see if that solved our road noise. All right, so back where we started. It's that driver's wheel that was really loud. Let me go forward. It's nice and quiet. The only thing I can hear is just the pad just dragging against the rotor a little bit. But I don't hear that howling noise anymore. And actually, when I turned the old wheel bearing, the old hub that came off, I could actually feel it and hear it in my hand. So I think we're in good shape. We'll take it for a ride, make sure it's good. All right, so that's a wrap. Drives nice, no vibrations, nice and quiet. If these videos help you, please think about subscribing, liking my channel. It helped me tremendously, and I'll see you in the next one.